Hello. Welcome to. Is it vlogging time? Okay, welcome to the Bearded Quail vlog. I was just doing some painting while listening to Iron, Metallica, Priest, and other such butch music here in my newly assembled, newly decorated nerd room. Why don't I take you lovely boys and very possibly even girls for a tour? Well, here we have a little arcade display cabinet for showing my miniatures. They're not the world's most impressive, but they are mine in all their pinky purple glory. Top two there are mostly Chaos Space Marines. Then as we head down, we get into vehicles in the third. And then right down the bottom, lurking in the darkness, are the Chaos Dwarfs. Over here, we have a collection of board and card games. This is where we see a lot of the sort of party games that get a lot of play, Flux, Chrononauts, Exploding Kittens, that sort of thing. And my beloved Atmospheres are lurking down the bottom. Next along is the war game section, so mostly fantasy and some other games up here, mostly Warhammer 40,000 here, and then we have here various other Games Workshop and similar games, Blood Bowl, Dread Bowl, that kind of thing. This shelf is dedicated to figures and terrain, so these are the army cases, which have some of my painted figures in them. This is my various pieces of mostly homemade terrain, whereas up here we've got figures still to be painted. So like every nerd, I have a big unpainted metal and resin and plastic pile. Idea of Sister Superior was to get little Tupperware type boxes and use them to store figures in a sort of themed way. So this would appear to be scouts, that's bikes, I think that one is Yip, that's ogres. So it's no longer just one big giant figures pile. Now in this corner we reach the role-playing games. Along here A to Z is the vast majority of my role-playing games, whereas this section is principally set aside for Dungeons and Dragons. Although I've not ran Dungeons and Dragons in a long time, it's a game I played for a very long time. I ran D&D 3rd Ed for about 6 years, so an awful lot of material was collected. You might also see some little odds and ends scattered about. This is the pieces of the crane I got as a Christmas present. As you can see, this is the height of it. It's about 2 foot, I think, so it's going to be a pretty chunky boy when it's finished. And over here are some of my latest purchases, some new decks of Blood Bowl special play cards, the Blood Bowl trophies. They were on made to order at Games Workshop. I've always wanted to get my hands on these, so couldn't really say no. And if you rotate around, you will come to a bit that's very special to me, but you're not so fond of, right? No. This is you see the terrain behind you. This is terrain in potentia. So here we have polystyrene, we have foam sheets, we have cardboard tubes, that kind of thing. Now, as far as I'm concerned, these are all going to be buildings and pillars and grav tanks and all kinds of things. As far as Sister Superior is concerned, this is a fire risk, and her beautifully painted walls are obscured by what normal people put in the bin. But it's going to be awesome one day, honest, okay? I mean, look. I've been hanging on to this book since, like, before I'd kissed a girl, right? Yes, 5 years ago, yes, very funny, Sister Superior. Yes, I've been hanging on to this book for ages, okay? I mean, I have wanted to make some of this stuff since I think that John Major was Prime Minister, okay? I will finally have a chance to make a pyramid, and with a piece of card that's about as tall as me. It's going to be one hell of a pyramid when I'm finished, let me tell you. And then we come to where you saw me when you arrived in. We come to the painting desk. So, simple IKEA table with drawers with all my stuff sorted through. So, top one is paints and brushes. Second one is other tools like, again, bigger brushes, glues, knives. Number 3 is basing materials, so sand and seeds and stuff's in here. Number 4 should be spray tins. Yeah, that's where all my spray undercoats and spray varnishes are. And then right down the bottom is where I keep a bit of a miscellaneous thing, but it also includes some scratch building things, straws, cocktail sticks, mesh, other. Get more terrain in Potentia. Oh, she'll love that. So, as you can see, I've been working in some bits and bobs recently. This is the MDF terrain piece I blogged about last. It's a burlesque house, because saying it's a Wild West brothel would probably stop people selling it as well. So the inside, I've only started painting it. The inside I've gone for Warlock Purple and a kind of lavender shade, which will hopefully give it a sort of boudoir theme. And then, as I mentioned, I haven't actually glued it all. I want it to be in pieces. So bottom floor, top floor, and then the roof, so it can be, during a game, disassembled if people want to go inside. We'll also have over here some other figures that I undercoated recently. If you've paid attention to my blog, you will have seen that I got Eidolon, a Forge World figure, for Christmas. And I have finally washed him down, assembled and undercoated. So this is the chap. He's king with 2 heads. The bare head was a bit emo fringe for my liking, so I went with helmeted instead. He comes with a display base. So like Fulgrim, like a lot of the Forge World characters, can be played like that, but if you just want to show him on the back on your shelf or whatever, there's a little base that he can slot into. Now he came with this jump pack, but the rules allow him to take it or not take it, so I magnetized him. So that's him with his jump pack on, but if I prefer an old Games Workshop generic Space Marine backpack, allows him to go on foot if he, I don't know, if he's worried about his carbon footprint. And some other little odds and ends here. There's a Hellbrute, Chaos Dreadnought, the generic Dark Vengeance one. I thought if I was undercoating Eidolon with a spray can, I might as well undercoat some other things. So I did him. I did this, which is I think it's actually a Thunderer siege tank from Forge World. I got it second hand. I was just going to use it as a Vindicator for my Chaos Space Marines. They have the same weapon, the kind of siege cannon, and the same general shape. So it doesn't matter too much. It's a little bit different. It's obviously just a different type of Vindicator. Now this last one. This is a Proxy Forge Fiend, which I'm working on. I wasn't hugely fond of the Forge Fiend model at first. I've come round to it, but I couldn't really turn this down when I saw it, because after a bit of filler and a bit of spray paint, you don't really realise that this is a £4 supermarket toy dinosaur. Now, the only problem with undercoating it is it loses the electronic noise. If there was a way I could have painted that and kept it, I assure you I would have. As is, unfortunately, nothing. But some polystyrene and filler and cardboard made it a little base, and I think that's general shape and size a pretty good match. So yeah, that is what I am up to right now, and that's what the lovely nerd room looks like. With a bit of help from my good lady, it's been painted in Slaneshi colours, and I've been finally able to get some painting and even some gaming going. I mean, speaking of gaming, I was asked a gaming question, but by the power of video editing, we're going to jump to a different room to answer that question. So on three, 1, 2. Dave Miller, 40k playing chum of mine, also keeps a little vlog, and he asked me a question on it. The question he asked me was, why do I play Warhammer 40,000? Now that sounds a bit of a daft question, isn't it? It's like, why do you eat cheese? No one's going to say it's because of the deep philosophical ramifications of cheese. It's because you like eating cheese. But it is more complex than that, because Warhammer 40,000, a lot of nerd games in general have different parts of them that people like. So I know some people who are far more interested in actually painting Warhammer figures and hardly ever play. I know people who, like with Dungeons & Dragons, are only really interested in playing specific types of games, whether it's playing single sessions or whether it's playing mini-year epics, but nothing in between. For me, I mean, in a broad sense, what I'm interested in with Warhammer is the sort of story side of it. It's not just pushing figures about. As fun as chess is, ultimately there is no story in chess. There is no point where like a pawn says goodbye to its girlfriend back home on the phone and then like runs into battle, rolling itself underneath the rook while clutching a grenade, shouting, "I'll see you in chessy hell," right? It doesn't happen. You just play chess and figures take each other. But when you play a game like Warhammer, that does happen to some extent. I mean, it's not just that they have rules about how they move. It's that if you play something like Chaos Dwarfs, one of the first issues of White Dwarf I ever got was, well, this is a cover from issue 161. And when you have these pictures of the Chaos Dwarfs, when you see that they don't ride dragons, they ride great tauruses, bull creatures, or they ride lamassus, so kind of bat-winged creatures with dwarfy heads. That says something about them. That says something about the story that emerges. When you play orcs and they have these special rules for there's a 1 in 6 chance that their magic people's heads will explode whenever they try and use a power, that says something about the kind of chaotic beings they are. I mean, you could play it with all the data stripped away, just down to the bare numbers. It could be my unit moves 4 squares and deals a strength 4 attack, and okay, but you lose. For me, what's interesting about it is that the Warhammer worlds, these sort of wargaming worlds, have this story, and you, by making characters, get to take part in that. You get to decide, I'm going to paint an Imperial Guard regiment that are from Valhalla, the ice world. And if you have bad luck with your tanks and they always blow up, well, obviously Valhallan tanks aren't really built very well. And if your commissar keeps having to execute people on the table because they run away, then obviously the Valhallans are quite strict disciplinarians. This sort of, even if this is just random dice rolling, it somehow makes a little story and it makes a little world that just emerges organically. That's what I find interesting. When I play with people, my regular players, Dave, Stuart, Jamie, these little narratives, these characters start to appear on the table. Suddenly it's not a random Canoness in charge of Dave's nuns. It's Canoness de la Fleur of the Order of the Sacred Tree. And she sort of becomes a person. And that makes me a lot more emotionally invested in what's happening at the table. That's why it's fun. But there's another aspect to it. And as I've written a bit about my blog, I have had some problems before, and still do, with depression, with mental health. And part of why I got back into Warhammer 40,000 similar games as an adult was actually as a way to combat that. And the person who's videotaping this is the person that's responsible for that, right? Right. See, when I'm not well, I get quite kind of shut in. I get very hide away from the world. And especially living in Glasgow with terrible weather, when October and November comes, it gets very dark, it gets very cold, I would have no urge to go outside, and I would just kind of shut in. for ages. So my good lady suggested, why don't I try painting up some of my old figures that I had, and maybe even playing people with them again. And having that little hobby to play, having a chance to play people again, but to make something, to start with no figures. Start with just some black pieces of plastic or metal that you assemble together, then you spray them, and then you paint on the eyes and the guns, and then you shade them and you highlight them. It's slow work, but it's slow progress. And over years and years, you've seen earlier the display cabinet, I have amassed a lot of figures. And it's a little sort of, it's quite soothing activity, I find, painting figures. It's quite relaxing, and even when the weather's terrible, and even when I'm not in a great mood, I can kind of hide myself in a corner. I can sit there with some more Chaos Dwarfs or some more Amazon Blood Bowl players. I can do some kind of touch-up things I've already started, or I can work on a new project. And that's quite relaxing for me. And also, again, it did get me out of the house and it got me meeting whole new people. I do play some of my previous kind of role-playing game and what have you, friends will playmate some things like Blood Bowl, but it got me going on Facebook, it got me meeting up with a collection of new people like Dave, like Stuart, like Jamie, like Charles, all these 40k friends that I never really wouldn't have known before. And that I've since obviously spent time just socially with, so it kind of got me out of my comfort zone. So as usual, everything the good that happens in my life is because Sister Superior forces me into it. Yeah, there's a lot of that going about. So I suppose if Dave asked me a question, then I should ask him a question right back. So Dave, here's my question to you. My question to you would be, if I suppose it's a good question to anybody. I'm not going to be fussy. If you had a time machine and you could go back and buy any old Warhammer figure or D&D book, any old nerd thing, what would it be? What's the one that got away for you? And if you had the chance, you could go back and get. I'll let you mull over that. Until next time, rock over London, rock on Chicago.